Ha kardeşi ne kadar çok.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome again to our session today. Okay, so for 1 minute, we can use the chat box to introduce ourselves. You can just type your name and where you are coming from, meaning your country. It's just a quick check-in. So feel free to do so on the chat box. While we are waiting for other people to join, you can use this minute to introduce yourself, your name, and where you're coming from. As the facilitator, I can start in grammar. Thank you, Banu from Turkey. Turkey and Tanzania, we share some common words, some common vocabularies. For example, the word minute in Swahili is dakika, and I think in Turkey is dakika too, in Turkish. Yeah.
Yes. Is it the same meaning? Dakika, it's minutes.
Even in Swahili, we say dakika, it's also minutes.
Thanks for this information.
Okay. Thank you also, Banu. Helena from Tanzania, welcome. You're my compatriot. I'm waiting to hear other people. We have Oneka from Kenya. I remember you, Oneka. I remember your wisdom, how you have been sharing different insights on the previous webinars. Thank you so much. And Sitk, where are you from, Sitk? Can you type your country? I can't wait to hear from the rest. We have other people.
Oh, okay. Hello. My mic was off. Sorry. My name is Sitki. I represent Smart Leap from Germany, but currently I am in Ankara.
You're in Ankara. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think Antalya is my wish list. So
Not Antalya, Ankara.
Ankara, yes, I know Ankara. I know Antalya too. So I said Antalya is in my wish list. Maybe one day I will come and visit.
Yes, you are more than welcome.
Thank you so much. Okay, we have 1 extra minute for people to introduce themselves. I can't wait to hear from Moses, from Sidka. I see someone called Choose the Organization. Monica, welcome. We'll be happy to hear where you're from. Welcome. Okay, while you are tapping, also I'm sharing on the chat box a pre-survey form for you to just answer. There are very few questions. Almost all of them, they are close-ended. So you can just type something according to the questions that have been posted there. Can you please do so? I have already pasted the pre-survey form. Kindly help me to answer it for only 2 minutes. For only 2 minutes. The pre-survey form. There are very few questions there. and help me just to know your level of understanding on the subject matter today, because today we are going to learn and share knowledge on From Awareness to Action, Roadmap for Youth Workers and Organizations. And I'll be happy to hear 5 responses so far. Thank you so much. Thank you, Grant. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Isabella. Thank you, Monica. Thank you so much. Kindly help me to answer the questions for the remaining 1 minute, as we are about to start our today's session. Okay, 6 responses so far. I would love to get at least 10 responses. Six response, please. Let's wrap it up so that we can start. Okay. I'm adding 1 more minute, please. Anyone who is currently filling out the form, please make it a bit hurry and swift so that we can proceed with our presentation. Thank you, Oneka. Thank you again, Charles, Gloria, Isabel, Grant, and Monica. Where are the rest? Because I can see we are more than 10 people, but I only have 6 responses so far. I'm pasting again the link. Thirty seconds. Seven responses now. Thank you, Priscus. Richard Mushi. Thank you so much. Tuesday organization. Where is this Tuesday organization based? Which country? Okay. Thank you. 10 responses so far. Thank you, Helena. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Venancio. And as I'm going through the questions, I've come to realize only 50% have clear awareness of the 21st century, but the remaining are curious to learn more about it. So welcome again. My name is Humphrey Mrema from TEDI, Tanzania Enlightenment Development Innovations. And we are so glad to have you this afternoon, according to East African time. I know to some people it's evening. Perhaps to others, it's midnight or in the morning. So far today, we are going to learn more about From Awareness to Action, the roadmap for youth workers and organizations. The main aim of this webinar, of this topic and session, is to turn youth knowledge, energy, and advocacy into measurable impact. We clearly understand that not everyone who hasn't achieved significantly is because of lack of awareness. Some people do have the knowledge, some people do have the skills, but they don't have enough knowledge on how to implement the skills and how they can leverage what they know to provide the tremendous impact to their communities, to other people's lives. So today we are going to unpack on the roadmap from being aware, being literate, being knowledgeable about something, to how you can translate it to actionable steps. So basically, the rationale of our webinar today, we clearly understand that young people today are highly aware of social, climate, governance, and developmental challenges. We know what as young people need, as young people are looking for when it comes to their social lives, when it comes to the environment, when it comes to the governance part. Here we can also include things around leadership and politics, and also the other different angles when it comes to development. However, awareness alone does not automatically translate into action. You might be literate, you might be educated, you might be knowledgeable about something, but that's one step to development. That's one step to liberation. That's one step to achievement of success from individual level to community and even national level. So awareness alone does not suffice. We need to go further and to have actions that can really make a difference. And also many youth workers and organizations struggle to move from dialogue, trainings, and campaigns to sustain practical youth-led action. If I could ask here, how many people among us have attended different seminars, forums, gatherings, convenings about youth, about development, about different subject matters of life? I could literally say almost all of us have attended, even if it's 1 or 2 or 10 or 100 plus. But to how much are we measuring the impact? To what extent are we confident enough to say, like, I attended this gathering, I attended this convening, I attended this forum, and it has impacted my life in ABC way. It has made a difference to my life, to my family, to my community in a certain dimension. Few of us can account for it. So we want to now quantify and qualify whatever we know so as to make it one of the steps to become actionable. Why now does it matter? Statistically and demographically, youth make up to 1.8 billion people in the world's population. 1.8 billion people. Now we are 7 billion plus. 1.8 billion of the population are young people, basically below 30 years. And what is even more shocking is that 90% of these 1.8 billion people come from developing countries, come from underrepresented communities and countries. And yet, in decision-making and implementation spaces, we see none. We see rarely we see young people being involved, being included. So without action pathways, youth engagement risk can become symbolic rather than transformative. We usually attend seminars and conferences here and there. You might figure out that young people are just invited tokenistically. They are invited in the essence, like, at least we had young people. At least our conference, it has that kind of diversity. So it is only like checking boxes and say, like, we had 3, 5, 10 number of young people, but how is their participation meaningful? That has remained a question, that has remained a puzzle, and that has remained a challenge. So we need action-oriented youth work that will drive community resilience, innovation, and inclusive development. I've been invited, for example, personally, I've been invited to different conferences inside Tanzania and even in abroad. And most of the time, you are just invited after the program has been finalized. As young people, we are not being included in the preparation processes. In the preliminary stages of the rationale of a certain conference, young people are usually and commonly sidelined. we are now being invited later as an aftermath of the preparatory processes, which we were not included. Why? It is because our engagement has been more symbolic, but not more realistic. So before we are going further, I would love to pose a brief of definitions of youth workers and youth organizations. What's the difference? Youth workers, they can be in different and so many angles, but they include facilitators, they include mentors, they include trainers, they include community mobilizers, they include social workers and so many others. But when you come to youth organizations, of which personally I'm more fitting into it, we have CSOs. CSOs means civil society organizations. However, I think even NGOs can be included within. We have non-governmental organizations, we have community-based organizations, we have FBOs, faith-based organizations. All these accommodates young people where they work, where they engage in one way or another. We have different movements. For example, we have movements advocating for human rights. We have movements advocating for democracy and good governance. We have movements advocating for environmental conservation and climate action, different subject matters in different manners. We also have networks. Movements sometimes goes periodically, seasonally, but networks are there to stay. And networks are the ones who sparks movements in different areas that we have. We have informal groups, indigenous communities, and so many others that are led by youth or working with youth. So there are different common barriers that have been lingering, that have been acting as stumbling blocks for young people to move, to graduate from awareness to action. First, there are some activities that have stopped sensitization and workshops. It might be rooted from the government. It might be sourced from, we can say, different authorities which are autonomous or semi-autonomous, but they don't provide privilege anymore to sensitizations for young people. So young people, they just hear from the air that there is something serious about life, this topic or that topic, but no sensitization has been prioritized. Second, we are confronted to limited practical tools for project design and implementation. You can find someone say, you know, brother, I have this idea. And this idea, once it comes to realization, it will change my life. It will change the community. It will change the whole narrative. It will be a paradigm shift. Yes, we know you have it. How are you now going to implement step by step? They can't. Why? Because they lack practical tools for project design. You might find youth who has noticed and spotted a certain challenge in the community. For example, water crisis. And he knows like there is a lot of water lost, maybe from wastewater, like from the toilets, of which we could have deployed a technology that can recycle this water and become usable again. Can be recycled and used maybe for industrial purposes so that we can reserve a lot of more water for domestic purpose. But they lack tools to design such projects and to implement them further. Third, youth are excluded from decision-making and budgeting processes. This is one of the angles of which personally I am affected and I am a witness and I can say something into it. For example, in 2022, I was invited in a certain conference in Ethiopia, and I was also a panelist. I got the chance to speak in the panel, and it was a high-level forum on security in Africa. So my interventions, my insights, my sentiments were more into security matters of the continent. However, I also emphasized on how young people can have a room and can have a space on the decision-making table. So I told them, like, young people should be given a chance. So after the panel, while I was going to have lunch with some colleagues and other people who attended the conference, a certain old man approached me and he told me, like, Humphrey, you said like you need space in the decision-making table, in the leadership springboard. Where will the rest of us go? I told him, like, we are not chasing you away. However, we typically understand that your time is phasing out. However, it is the right time for you to elongate the table, to extend the table, so as young people can also be accommodated. By the time you totally phase out, at least we have young people who have the experience to keep the wheel going, to keep the momentum. They don't want to include us. And once you keep advocating for young leadership, they take you as an activist. In some countries, maybe they can take you as a person who wants to commit some crimes. You will be seen like an enemy of the government just because you want also your voices and your position in the decision-making table. This is one of the common barriers, not only in Africa, perhaps I could attest in the world. We also lack strong, concrete, and robust monitoring, learning, and follow-up systems in different leadership structures, in different organization structures. We lack this, and this is one of the common barriers of moving from awareness to action. So I provided this diagram, this illustration here, to show the continuum, to show the roadmap of how now what young people can do, and to avoid to stuck in the awareness phase without moving and graduating to the action phase. So being aware of something, it's one thing. And I could apparently testify and said very clearly that young people, at least nowadays, we have awareness. We have this wave which have been going all over the world in the past 2-3 years of something called Gen Z movement. And it has been witnessed that Gen Z are now understanding the real issues affecting their countries. We know what happened in Nepal. We understand what happened in Sri Lanka. Most of them in Madagascar, most of them are sparked by the awareness that has been all over, enshrined in the Gen Z people, who are typically young people. So understanding issues, it's one thing. After that, you need to have skills. Not every challenge, not every problem in the community needs demonstration, needs to go in the streets and say, we want that. There are some issues can be negotiated on decision-making tables. There are some issues that you could form a delegation of young people under the supervision of, we can say, wise old people, and through them, they can help you address the matter to those in power. Not everything requires young people to go on the streets with some billboards saying, we demand, we demand, we demand. So all this falls into the category of skills. How are we leveraging the leaders that we have for them to convey and relay the demands that we have in one way or another? Planning. How are you advocating for that issue? There are some matters, to be honest, they don't require you to go to the traditional media houses, using your online platforms to advocate for. Some others want you to have a business mind and say, I see this challenge. Through this challenge, I see that can help me. Sorry, I see someone who is speaking. Can you help me to mute him? Okay, so that is skills. We also have agency. This is the channel that you use. This is the channel that you use. Then action. Now action comes after. Some young people, most of us, just take a picture. After you know something, you have to take action. This is very wrong. This is not correct. After being fully aware and knowledgeable about a certain issue, you need to go and have the skills. And through those skills, you need to have like an agent who will bridge up and help you solve that problem. And that's where action now comes. And lastly, it is impact. The impact now will be seen. The community will aware of what you want to do and what is the real issue that you wanted to address. This is how it is going. So the simple roadmap that I could share that can help young people. First, you have to build informed awareness. Second, Johanna, can you mute yourself, please? Okay. The first is to build informed awareness. Second is to equip yourself with practical skills, as how I have said earlier. Then create space for leadership and decision making. Create a space for leadership and decision making. Then provide resources and mentorship. Support implementation, then measure impact and scale up. So after you have measured the impact, now it's a time that you can scale up further. However, on the road, on climbing the ladder to achieve this, there are a lot of challenges that can be seen or can be observed, particularly to young people. So first, it is wrong alignment of the policies. We still don't have strong, robust policies that focus more on participation for young people to not only participate, but also be part of the implementation. Policies have been not that strong, not that supportive. Second, integration from the grassroots. I can provide a case study from Tanzania. You could also share yours later. It's very rare to find a young person from the grassroots, from the rural communities, fully knowledgeable about the real matters of the country. They can't even argue logically onto something that matters to them when it comes to political, social, environmental issues in their communities surrounding them. It seems like those in urban areas are more likely to get more exposure. They are more exposed. They are more knowledgeable compared to those in the grassroots. So we still need integration in all development plans as how young people are benefiting in the urban and metropolitan cities, so they do in rural communities and the grassroots. Also, we face coordination issues, fragmented coordination between government, donors. Nowadays, we have a very tricky word called DPs, development partners, and youth actors. We also have an issue when it comes to that. So far, I would love to provide 2 examples in Africa. You can also share yours later during the plenary and during a discussion. You can see these pictures. The left one, his name is Malizole Ntobela. He is the youth representative in South Africa. You can see him. I don't know how we can categorize him. Perhaps he is a senior youth, we could say. And the other, and on the right side, you can see among the top decision makers in Cameroon. We have the president who is among the longest sitting presidents in Africa after Teodoro Obiang Nguema Basogo of Equatorial Guinea. We have Paul Biya of Cameroon. We also have some neighbors here and there. He has been the president since 1982. He is now, I think, 92 or 93 years old, and most of the time he spends in Switzerland. He rarely meets the cabinet, and if he meets them, it could be once or twice per year, and sometimes virtually. I remember this video. He was invited by the former president of the United States, President Biden, on the US-Africa Leaders Summit in Washington. It was his turn to address the audience, and he forgot where he was. He's either the camp and his assistant were there like, President, it's your turn. He say, where am I? What am I supposed to do? All these people are clapping for me. Why? We can see the real issues that young people require space to act. Beside him is the Presidential Constitutional Council. He is 91 years old. We have the Chief of Staff for the Cameroon Army. He is 91 years old also. We have the President of Senate is 84 years old. We have the Minister of Justice. If young people now will say, enough is enough, we want justice. The Minister of Justice, who could be the haven Someone we could go, place of refuge, he's 83 years old. Speaker of the National Assembly, he's 85 years old. These are the real issues that young people want to address. So, because we said, apart from awareness, we need skills. What are those skills that youth need? What are those skills that youth need? The answer is very simple. We need 21st century skills. We could ask ourselves, what is 21st century skills? It's a framework of competencies, literacy, and character qualities needed to thrive in this modern world. Perhaps they are not relevant in 1880s, in 1800s, in 1700s. They were not relevant because by that time we were now facing to the Industrial Revolution, but now we are in the Information Revolution. 21st century skills are indispensable. They can't be avoided, they can't be eluded. You need to have them. We say they usually say, we do or we die. Likewise to the 21st century skills. Just to unpack them further, the 21st century skills can be categorized into 4. And I want us to clearly grasp and understand this. First, we have the 4 C's. 4 C's, we mean critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. As a young person who you want to graduate, you want to move from being someone who is aware of something to someone who is action-oriented. You need to be packed. You need to be possessed with the 4 C's. Critical thinking. I was speaking with a colleague I know who works with a certain bank here in Tanzania, and he told me how much the CEO, the chief executive officer, the managing director of the bank gets paid a month. It's a handsome amount of money. It's thousands of dollars. And he does less work compared to those who are being paid less than him. He told me the CEO gets paid much because of only one thing, critical thinking. Because of his experience, they leverage his experience for him to make decisions critically that decides the path, decides the future of the bank in the coming years. So he does nothing like preparing reports. He does nothing. He only thinks and decides. This is one of the skills that everyone should have. You should know how to communicate. Once you face a challenge, once you under-deliver, even if you over-deliver, some people are being sacked in their jobs, not because they are not competitive enough, but because they're overconfident. Overconfidence, it's a flower coming from lack of communication seedling. Second, it's life and career skills. How much are you flexible? You have been employed. Today, you have been assigned into a certain department that, of course, maybe you have the background with. But tomorrow they tell you, like, in that department, I think you should shift. We are assigning you other tasks in a different section, in a different department. How flexible are you? How malleable are you to quick learn and adapt? This is a very contemporary and important skill that you need to have. How can you lead? If you have 2-3 people in your team and you are the team leader, can you lead them? Can you motivate them? Can you inspire them to deliver? How are you productive? Do you have social skills? This is very important. Third is information, media, and technology skills. Personally, during my campus years, during my university years, I was getting some lucky money, some very simple money from the old people who we call them BBC. BBC, it's an acronym of Born Before Computers. These old men and women, they are not capable of doing such a very tiny task on their computers just because they lack digital literacy. So they could tell me, like, Humphrey, can you help me to change this Microsoft Word document to a PDF? I would pretend like this is very difficult to do just for them to see it was worth it. And after some time, they give you money for lunch, money that you could spend a week, but for a very small task that you did for a minute. Because digital literacy and information technology literacy, it's very contemporary. Nowadays, the technology is drastically and rapidly evolving. We have the AI, we have the Internet of Things. You should specialize yourself into them. You should give yourself awareness into them and become at least a prodigy to undertake some tasks that some people couldn't. This is very, very important. We also have global competency. How much are you aware of things going in the world, the geopolitics? I would ask here for the people who have participated, how many knows what happened in Venezuela last week? Do they know the reason why Donald Trump decided to overthrow Nicolas Maduro? For example, something happened between China, between Russia. Are you aware of the geopolitics? You could say, no, I'm not someone of politics. No, being aware of how the world is going, it's very critical to make you a proper and competent young leader. Cultural literacy. I have a few friends of mine who have been employed in big companies, not only because they had bachelor degree, they had masters, but because at least they know a certain language. Are you a polyglot? Do you know multiple languages? Most of us only know English and our mother languages. But if you could afford to go further and study another language, being acquainted of a certain culture, and once you interact with people with the same culture, they could take you more potential than a person who has multiple degrees. So it is very, very important. You can't afford actually to learn all the cultures in the world. We have thousands of cultures, but at least to know some based on where you want to go and your dream. Let's dive deeper into examples for like 10 minutes, then we go to questions and answers. I want someone to tell me who they recognize in these pictures. I want someone to tell me who do you recognize in these pictures. Tuesday, welcome.
Yeah, I see Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg, thank you. We remain with two people. Can we recognize them? Can someone tell us the name? Someone has read Tuesday. Tuesday, you want to say again? You know someone
No, sorry, I forgot to lower it.
Okay, very much. Anyone else to tell us? So we only know Mark Zuckerberg in these three pictures in the slide. Sarah, welcome.
I see Malala.
Malala, thank you. Who is Malala between the two female?
The lady with head being wrapped with a piece of cloth.
One in the middle.
The middle lady.
Yeah, okay. The middle one. Thank you so much. Okay, can we identify the last one? Maybe I will provide a gift for anyone within 10 seconds who can tell me the one in red. Okay, let's leave it as a puzzle. We will come to know her. By the way, her name is Jacinda Ardern. She's the former Prime Minister of Netherlands. So I would love to share very short clips here for these three people who have iconically showed us how young people can turn awareness into action. Let me start with the first one, who is Mark Zuckerberg. Thank you, the guy from Tuesday who has helped us to identify. Yeah, so we start with this video. I hope all your attention will be here for a few minutes. Let me play this. I hope you can all see the video, right?
Yes.
Mark Zuckerberg, the co-founder of Facebook and one of the most famous and influential people in the world.
Can you hear the audio too? Is it audible?
It is. It is.
Okay.
Began developing an interest in computers. Mark Zuckerberg, the co-founder of Facebook and one of the most famous and influential people in the world, began developing an interest in computers when he was just a child. When he was 12 years old, he created a messaging program called ZuckNet, which allowed the computers between their house and his father's dental office to connect and communicate with each other by transferring messages. The family also used this program to communicate within the house. He was also very interested in creating computer games with his friends just for fun. And as the years passed, he became even more interested and more fascinated by computers, and he continued working and developing programs. While still in high school, he created a music player called Synapse that intelligently recommended other music to the user based on his music taste. Several companies, including Microsoft, wanted to buy the software and hire Mark, but he declined all the offers. After graduating, he went to study at Harvard University, and in no time he became very popular for his programming skills. And soon, Mark and his friends created a social networking site that allowed Harvard students to create their own profiles, upload photos, and communicate with each other. And the site was officially launched from his dorm room. That was the beginning of Facebook. He decided to drop out of college and devote himself full-time building his Facebook empire. But this college dropout had a strong vision for his future and believed in the idea he was working on. He didn't just drop out like that. He had a plan and he fully committed himself into making Facebook a worldwide platform. By the end of 2004, Facebook had 1 million users. By July 2010, the company had 500 million users, and by December 2020, Facebook claimed that it had 2.8 billion monthly active users. But that was not as easy as it sounds. He was 19 when he started Facebook, and he said that he knew nothing about business, about running a company. He didn't even know that he was starting a company. I really knew so little at the time. So many things go wrong when you're starting a company. Often I think people ask what mistakes you should avoid making. My answer to that question is don't even bother trying to avoid mistakes because you're going to make tons of mistakes. The important thing is actually learning quickly from whatever mistakes you make and not giving up. A lot of us have a really hard time with making the right decision. We are afraid of taking risks and making mistakes, so we tend to wait for the perfect moment to start something. But in a world that is changing really quickly, the only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking risks. How many times we can tell ourselves over and over, well, I'm just waiting for the right moment, before it's too late. We might be waiting for the perfect time, but sadly, the time is not waiting for us. So, what's your story?
Well, thank you so much. That is about Malala. Let me now play another that is for Mark Zuckerberg. Let me play for Malala, then we wind up for Jakim, then we have an open discussion that would help us to unpack what we have, the potential process, and how are we using it and leveraging it from there. Thank you.
Molly Softsai is a female education activist stood up to the Taliban, survived an assassination attempt, and became the youngest person ever to win a Nobel Peace Prize. Malala Yousafzai was born on July 12, 1997 in the Swat region of Pakistan to Zayuddin and Torb-Kai Yousafzai. Her parents were determined to give her every opportunity a son would have, starting with an education. But then in 2007, when Malala was around 10 years old, her home, the Swat Valley, one of Pakistan's most beautiful regions, was taken over by the Taliban. Life under the Taliban was difficult, and women were discouraged from getting an education and even shopping at the local market. Malala's father, an educator who ran a number of private schools for girls, attempted to educate girls under the radar. Malala herself developed a stealthy route to school to avoid being caught. Eventually, the Taliban officially banned girls from going to school altogether. In January 2009, the precocious 12-year-old Malala started blogging for the BBC under the pen name Gul Makai, chronicling her life under the Taliban regime. Her writing was deep and thoughtful and beyond the years of an average 7th grader. The New York Times made a short documentary about her, and she publicly campaigned for girls to go to school, winning Pakistan's first National Youth Peace Prize. But this put Malala in the limelight, sparking the Taliban to target her. And on October 9th, 2012, Malala boarded the bus home from school. She had just finished a physics exam and was busy thinking about her Pakistani studies exam the next day when a masked gunman boarded the bus, asked for Malala by name, and shot her in the head, neck, and shoulder. She was just 15 years old. The bus driver rushed her straight to the hospital. She was in trouble. They airlifted her to a hospital in Peshawar where they found the bullet was very close to her brain. It was causing her brain to swell, and they needed to get her to a more advanced hospital or she would die. The ruling family of the United Arab Emirates offered their private jet, which rushed her to a hospital in the UK. Meanwhile, the Taliban released a statement proudly proclaiming responsibility for shooting the girl who was promoting Western ideas in Swat. She arrived in the UK in critical condition and woke up a full week later. Her survival empowered her to continue her mission to expand education and promote peace. She started the Malala Charity Fund to help build schools. In 2013, she spoke at the UN. She went on to win the World Children's Prize, and in 2014, at 17, she won the Nobel Peace Prize. But even more impressive, after all she endured, Malala has never expressed anger or vengeance or any promotion of violence. Of her attacker, she says only that she believes he made a great mistake. His goal was to silence her. But after enduring the shooting, she had no more fear, and she certainly had a lot more to say.
Okay, thank you so much. So
Thanks.
we are winding up with one video from Jacinda Ardern, who is the former Prime Minister of the Netherlands. The former Prime Minister of the Netherlands. Okay.
The life story of Jacinda Ardern. In the serene landscapes of New Zealand, a beacon of hope and leadership emerged in the form of Jacinda Ardern. Born on July 26, 1980, in Hamilton, New Zealand, Ardern's journey to becoming one of the world's most admired political figures was marked by compassion, resilience, and a commitment to service. From a young age, Ardern displayed a keen interest in social justice and community engagement. Her early years were shaped by a desire to make a positive difference in the lives of those around her. This drive led her to pursue a career in politics, where she believed she could effect meaningful change. Ardern's rise in the political arena was swift. After working as a researcher for former Prime Minister Helen Clark and serving as president of the International Union of Socialist Youth, Ardern was elected as a member of parliament for the Labour Party in 2008. Her natural charisma, empathy, and progressive ideals quickly set her apart as a rising star within the party. In 2017, Ardern assumed the leadership of the Labour Party just weeks before a general election. Despite the odds stacked against her, Ardern's campaign resonated with voters, particularly her message of kindness, empathy, and inclusion. In a historic victory, she became the youngest Prime Minister of New Zealand in over 150 years. Ardern wasted no time in implementing her vision for a more compassionate and equitable society. She prioritized issues such as child poverty, mental health, and climate change, earning praise both domestically and internationally for her bold and decisive leadership. However, Ardern faced her greatest test in March 2019, when tragedy struck New Zealand in the form of a devastating terrorist attack on 2 mosques in Christchurch. In the wake of the attack, Ardern's response was nothing short of remarkable. She displayed empathy, strength, and unity, comforting grieving communities and swiftly enacting gun control reforms to prevent such a tragedy from happening again. Throughout her tenure as Prime Minister, Ardern has continued to lead with compassion and integrity, earning admiration and respect from people around the world. Her handling of the COVID-19 pandemic further solidified her reputation as a decisive and empathetic leader, with New Zealand being widely praised for its effective response to the crisis. Jacinda Ardern's life story is a testament to the power of empathy, compassion, and principled leadership. She has proven that strength and kindness are not mutually exclusive, and that true leadership is about lifting others up and creating a better world for all. As she continues to inspire hope and optimism both in New Zealand and beyond, Ardern's legacy will endure as a shining example of what is possible when leaders lead with their hearts.
Yeah, thanks for watching. So we have seen 3 videos of 3 different people from 3 different continents and from 3 different career backgrounds. Just to put facts clear, she is the former minister of New Zealand, not Netherlands, New Zealand. So why did I display these 3 videos? As a young person who is passionate about solving problems in the community, not everyone will become an activist. Not everyone will become a political or government leader. We have different arenas, we have different platforms that we could use and leverage to transform our communities, to bring about changes. So by starting, for example, Mark Zuckerberg, he has changed the narrative of the social media in the world by becoming an entrepreneur. He's a technological entrepreneur who first invested in Facebook, and he now owns Meta, whereby Meta it's a platform combining WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram. He's among the 10 most billionaires in the world, and he is the youngest billionaire in the world. He did all this because he chose an entrepreneurship path. Among us who are attending this webinar, this workshop, not everyone will become a government leader. Some of you could deliver a lot for the world by choosing the business world side, by starting with that small business idea, that small innovation idea, that tiny innovation idea, and give it time to grow, become persevere, become persistent, and things will realize later. The second example is Malala. Malala, her path is an activist. He's a person who advocates for policies, wants equity, wants equality, wants justice. And her way to the ladder was a bit combined with agony, because as you have heard in the video that she was shot in the head. But fortunately, that bullet didn't affect the brain. So she merely and barely survived. But before being shot, she was advocating for girls' rights to education in Pakistan when Taliban took over. She did a very risky thing, because you are advocating for something which people who are against it, they are armed, they go around intimidating people, they arbitrarily arrest people and even killing them. And she was almost killed, but she survived. She's young. I think next year she's turning 30, but her work is tremendous. She now supports different young people who supports education in different initiatives in the world. And her way to emerge in that crucial position was through activism. And the third is Jackie, who you have heard about her. For her path was more political. For those who have passion to pursue politics, she is one of the icons that maybe you could learn from. So the question that we should ask ourselves, which one is my path? Because sometimes you might go around social media, you find someone doing a lot as an entrepreneur, now you want to be an entrepreneur. Tomorrow you find someone who has succeeded because he or she's an activist, now you want to become an activist. Where is your focus? And to understand your focus, Myles Munroe, the late Myles Munroe, came out with 5 very important questions. In order to start your journey from awareness to action, you should know your identity. Who am I? Who am I? It's not about your name. It's not about your middle and surname. It's not about your gender. It's about that unique character you possess. In business, we call it UVP, unique value proposition. That makes you different. Humphrey and Oneka, what makes us different apart from our names? If I find someone called Humphrey, a male like me, tall like me, what other thing? That is the identity. Second, where am I from? The source, it goes beyond your clan. It goes beyond the family tree. But the third one, which is very, very important, it is the purpose. And in the purpose here now, we could unpack the categories. It's your purpose going to thrive as an entrepreneur, going to thrive as a business person, as a political leader, as an activist, as a corporate leader, and so many others. What can you do? That is the potential. The fourth one, something that you can do, other person can do, or you can do better than other person. And the last one, it is the destination. Where am I going? Where do you want to go? We all know we share the common destination, death. But before death, in this earth, what is your destiny? So overall, we need to measure impact. We need to know how we can track impact, because young people, they do a lot. But once you tell them, okay, you did a project using your organization, how many people did you impact? Did you do some follow-ups to track? Did you do follow-ups in case you advocated for policy change? Have those policy changed already? Have they amended? Have they been amended? What are the economic outcomes? For example, now you choose the entrepreneur part. What are the economic outcomes that you have yielded? How many jobs and livelihoods have you created? How much income have you generated? How much have you contributed to the government as a revenue? Social and environmental impact. How many communities have you reached? What kind of services have you provided? Maybe you chose to dig wells so as to increase access to clean water and sanitation. Maybe you decided to provide solar panels. To how many communities? How far have they impacted them? This is something we need to learn how to track. Our call to action. Awareness is the starting point and is the goal. When youth are empowered to act, communities transform and development accelerates. Before we open a room for discussion for very few minutes, because we are behind time, I want you guys to use the chat box to tell me which path are you using. The Mark Zuckerberg one, the Malala one, the Akim one. So you can write maybe an entrepreneur, an innovator, an activist, political leader. I want to see that in the chat box as we are speaking now for only 30 seconds. Can you share in the chat box what's the path that you have chosen? We are now aware. Now it is the time for action. Okay, let me start. Let me open the door. I'm more into politics, so I want to become a political leader. Entrepreneurship. Thank. I see a lot of Mark Zuckerberg. Thank you, Malala. That's Isabel. Thanks. Seems a lot of people here are money-oriented. I see a lot of entrepreneurs. Thank you, Agape. Thank you, Sarah. I wonder, choose the organization. It's not for profit. Now you choose entrepreneurship. This is amazing. Thank you, Matthew. Well, this is so nice to hear. Napoleon once said, a jack of all trades is a master of none. So it's so glad, I'm so delighted to hear that at least everyone gets a slight picture of what kind of path he or she wants to choose so as to provide impact. Okay, for 3 minutes, I would love to open to the floor. Anyone who has a question, anyone who has an opinion to share, kindly make it very short and brief for only 30 seconds. Raise your hand and I will allow you to talk. Anyone who has something to share, it could be a question, it could be an opinion. Strictly 30 seconds. Strictly 30 seconds. Thank you, Judith, an activist. Femfero Kaponda, entrepreneurship, that's nice. I see a lot of Mark Zuckerberg. I think in the coming calls, Teddy, we will consult with other partners to have Mark Zuckerberg in one of our calls. By faith, we receive. Because I see a lot of entrepreneurs. We could also invite Tony Elumelu to groom us and give us a lot of knowledge. Okay, I see no hands. Seems the webinar was well understood in such a way that no one has something to share. Not bad. So thank you so much, Glory, for the compliments. I hope everyone has gained something. So we have a post-survey form just to hear from you guys what you have learned and how it has impacted you. Can you please visit our chat box and answer the questions in the post workshop? Can you please answer the questions there for only 2 minutes, then we wind up our call. Please let's fill out the post-workshop survey form. Until now, 0 responses. I think in 2 minutes we could have. I'm not in good position to speak, but I can text. I'm happy to learn this. I have an opinion for us youth. We should find a way to get an opportunity to be part of the government policymakers. Indeed, this will help us in the coming generation implement the policies for better outcomes. Thank you, Isabel. You have put it very perfectly, and I really love it because we know each one need one another. Everyone need one another. But even if you are an entrepreneur, you can't succeed, you can't achieve, you can't thrive in case the policies are not supportive for your entrepreneurship endeavors. So we still need some young people, strong, with integrity, who can help us to speak on our behalf, so that we can enact better policies that will provide good environment for. Yeah, so I get you, Isabel. Thank you so much. One response so far, please. Can we? Thank you, Oneka. Oneka has already filled out the form. Wonderful presentation, Humphrey. Thank you so much, Oneka. My appreciations. welcome me, invite me to Kenya. I'll be happy to come and meet you in person. Asante sana.
You're always welcome to Kenya.
Asante sana. Okay, let's wind up. I could have asked, but it's raining, cats and dogs here. But let me ask from here, in this challenging world full of political alignment and everything, and where most of the BBC still want to clinch to power, how can we ensure we have a strong voice and our young people are not scared of advocating for their rights? Wow, that's a very nice question. That's a very incredible one. And as we are winding up to fill out the survey form, I would love to answer the question. Okay, I remember I was in Dubai 2 years ago on a certain conference, and I met this very top leader in the UN system based in New York. And I posed the very same question that you have just written down here. And he told me, Humphrey, my son, power is never asked for. Power is taken. If you keep waiting for them to hand over the power to you, you will wait forever. He said you have to grab it. Because anyone who is clinging to power, it is because it is benefit them. They don't care, they never mind on how much you're impacted. As far as in the moment they are benefiting, you are never something they could care for. And just to re-echo his sentiments, for us who are Christian believers, even the Bible, in the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 12, it says the same. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of God is acquired from violence and power, and violence take it by force. So it's not like we have to be violent in such a way like causing atrocities, but it is in a fact that sometimes negotiations yields nothing. We need to be brave enough to change the tone from we want to we demand, because it's our right to be there and we have to do so. Thank you so much. 5 responses, 1 more minute so that we end it by 10 minutes past. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you, Priscus. Thank you, Bernasio, Clara, Oneka, Gloria, 7. 3 more. Let's wind up. 1 more minute. We still have 7 responses so far. Please, let's finish. Thank you, 8. 2 remaining. Okay, if you said majority of population is covered by youth, meaning we are the ones that vote. If we are empowered with awareness, implement into action, and support each other, we can change the political alignment. Couldn't agree more. You said it all, Isabel. I agree. I second. I concur with what you say. I concur with what you say. Thank you so much thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Agape, Venancio, Gloria, Priscus, Oneka, Clara, Isabel, and Pharaoh for filling out the survey form. If you haven't, please do in the few seconds that are remaining. And thank you for all who learned about 21st century skills. They are so important. We need them to translate our awareness to action. Everything is about skills nowadays. You could have multiple certificates. You could have bachelors from different big universities. But if you can't implement what you learn, you will still be just a white elephant project. So let's now keep gaining those skills and use them to change one life at a time, one community at a time, and one country at a time. Thank you so much all for joining this call. And this marks the end of our session today. And the recordings of this session will be uploaded on our platforms as usual. We will also upload the slides on the Google Drive folder that the link it will be reshared in the WhatsApp group for anyone who doesn't have it. And keep learning, keep impacting, and keep empowering. Bye.
Kwaheri Humphrey.
Asante sana.
Kwaheri ndugu. Asante sana.
Thank you so much.